Hi, Jeremy Cordeaux in the Court of Public Opinion. I'm just on air here to let you know that we'll be live streaming the Court of Public Opinion every Friday between 9 o'clock and 12 on jeremycordeaux.com. Please join us. We'd love to have you.
What motivates you? When is it intrinsic or extrinsic? Intrinsic and extrinsic motivations are two different types of motivation that drive human behaviour. They refer to the underlying reasons or factors that influence what we want to do. Intrinsic motivation refers to the internal or inherent factors that drive you to engage in an activity or behaviour for its own sake, without the need of external rewards or incentives. It's driven by personal enjoyment, interest, or satisfaction that you get from the activity itself. For example, someone who reads a book because they love it. They love the subject matter, or they love the characters in it, the author. Someone who paints because they find it fulfilling and enjoyable is exhibiting intrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation often leads to higher levels of engagement, creativity, and satisfaction in tasks. Extrinsic motivation, on the other hand, refers to external factors or rewards that drive a person to engage in a particular behaviour or activity. Now, this motivation is fueled by a desire to attain a specific outcome or avoid punishment, rather than the actual inherent enjoyment of the activity itself. For example, we all do this. We go to work to earn a paycheck. We study for good grades, or we exercise to lose weight. These are all examples of extrinsically motivated behaviours. In these cases, the focus is on the external reward or consequences. Now, these two types of motivation are not mutually exclusive, and individuals often experience a blend of both. However, the effectiveness of each motivation can vary depending on the individual and the context. In some cases, intrinsic motivation may lead to a more sustainable and satisfying outcome if it's driven by a personal passion and interest. In other situations, extrinsic motivations such as financial rewards or recognition might serve as effective incentives to achieve specific goals. Effective motivation really depends on aligning the right type of motivation for a particular task or objective at hand. Now, when I was young, in my 20s, my mum carried a lot of weight, and every Saturday morning she and I would walk for at least an hour and a half. Now, this was a great time to chat and exercise, and afterwards we would sit and have a coffee. Now, I enjoy walking because it puts me in a great headspace intrinsically, and extrinsically it benefits my body. As we walked, I'd be thinking, fantastic, Mum's done a big walk. This might help her lose weight. And then she would sit down and order an iced chocolate with double ice cream in it. I sat there and sipped my black coffee. I was very frustrated, and I couldn't understand how she couldn't understand how to lose weight and get on board with this. When I became engaged and was about to be married, my mum started losing weight. I didn't tell her to do anything. I'd given up. However, she wanted to do it herself. She was intrinsically motivated to do it by an extrinsic motivation, which was my wedding, and that's what she wanted for herself. It wasn't that someone had pushed her into it or she felt obliged to do it. She wanted to feel good. She looked amazing on my wedding day and has done so ever since. But from that I learned that you can't motivate a person with your own motivations. That self-motivation is what drives people, sometimes extrinsic or intrinsic. But it is really only you that can decide what will motivate you. So what intrinsically motivates you each day? What extrinsically motivates you each day? Today we're talking about different types of motivation. I'm Kate Mason, and welcome to Parenting and Personalities. This is the podcast that connects you with the ones you care about the most. Lori Oberbroeckling is a mum of four, corporate leader, podcaster, productivity expert, and author of the book, Secrets of Supermum: How Extraordinary Mums Succeed at Work and Home, and How You Can Too. She's passionate about helping parents who want fulfilling careers or side hustles or passion projects, while also wanting to feel present and connected with their families. Hi, Lori. Welcome back to Parenting and Personalities.
I'm so excited to be back. Thank you.
Now, last time we were discussing your book, which can actually, as I said on the last podcast, be used by anyone. You don't necessarily have to be a supermom. I think everybody could use it. In fact, I'm going to hand it to my children as well, who are young adults, because I think there's a lot in there that they can get out of it. Now, I know that wasn't your purpose, but it's great. And I was just wondering if we can touch on motivation today, what it is that motivates and demotivates us. And to start with, can you tell us what it was that motivated your book, and tell us about your book story?
Yes.
Because I think it took me about 1.5 years to write my book. So tell us.
Yes. So I had always thought it would be fun to write a book, right? Many of us do. Some 80% is what, some of the metrics that you hear, 80% of people want to write a book. So a lot of us have the thought that writing a book would be fun, but I never really had a strong idea. I never really had something that I said, this is what my book is going to be about. And then when I realized that moms were overly stressed, or maybe less overly stressed when the pandemic hit, right? Because all these moms were talking and texting and asking questions. I started just to dig in a little deeper. And when I started asking, what are these moms doing differently that feel like they've kind of got things together? And what are the other moms doing that is making them feel like they don't, right? And so I surveyed and interviewed almost 200 moms and was able to pull together these secrets for the things that were working for moms. And so 16 chapters, 16 secrets. And so you can see why that might apply to lots of people, right? It applied to moms for sure. But I have, a friend of mine, her mom read my book and said, Lori, this book is like for people, right? And I said, well, yes, but all the stories are for moms, all the examples are moms. I interviewed moms, but she said, yes, this is something that everybody needs, because we talk about habits and we talk about motivation, like we're going to talk about today. We talk about that everyone needs help. Right? We talk about that everybody needs to, at some point, prioritize all the things on their crazy long to-do lists. And so it was a way to kind of pull all of that together. And it came very quickly. I wrote it in 34 days because it just came together, right? All the ideas were there. And so it was very fast. I don't think that that's probably how it always goes, but that's how it went.
How many hours a day did you spend on it to have written it in that time? And did you have notes before, like lots of notes before you wrote? I just find that amazing.
Yeah. So I have, what was kind of like a Post-it party. And I just wrote all these ideas on Post-it notes. And then I put them on the wall in my bedroom and I organized them so I could see everything at the same time, but it felt like I could move them around a lot, right? So it just was this interesting way of putting it all together and feeling like the chapters sort of came together on their own. And then once I did that, the writing came very fast. I blocked an hour to an hour and a half every single morning for that my goal was 30 days, 30-day period. Now, there were days that barely a few hundred words came out in that hour. I just didn't have it. And then there were days on a weekend where I might give myself a little more time and I'd write 4,000 words. And so It was just, I had to be gracious with myself, because if the thought wasn't there, you can't make it come. But I had to be consistent. That, we talk about habits, right? That being consistent is a benefit. I had to be consistent, or I knew that it would take me far longer than I really wanted.
So you did allow yourself a little bit of extra time on those days. That
I did.
That the brain, it's very true, isn't it? Some days your brain just doesn't seem to be working, and other days it's switched on and it's just flowing, isn't it?
Yeah, and if it's on, if you can shift some things around or get help from somebody to let it keep going, I would rely on my partner, my kiddos to do things differently so that I could keep going. Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about motivation, what did you come up with around motivation? Tell us about that.
Yeah. So I think the biggest buckets. So there is intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, which is essentially I'm motivated from inside me, intrinsic, or I'm motivated from something outside of me, which is extrinsic. And we know that ultimately, even if extrinsic rewards help us stay motivated, that what's intrinsic is going to be what will continue us, right? What is going to allow us to stay motivated in the long term. So there are lots of tricks and tips, and we teach different ways to get motivation going, but ultimately that motivation has to come from within. And sometimes it's just being in the habit of being motivated, right? Being in the habit of doing, because we also know that with action comes motivation. So we might wake up motivated some days, but there is no one, at least the research doesn't find them, that wakes up motivated every day. There just isn't. And even, I'm motivated a lot, but there are days where I wake up and go, ugh, I don't want to do any of the things on my calendar today. But when we're consistent, when we have structure, like habits, the routines, the systems, when we have those, we have to rely less on motivation and more on just habit, more on just routine. And so it makes things easier to get started. And then again, once you get started, you start that action, the motivation follows.
That's very true. When you talk in your book about exercise, I have, for the last 30 years since I had my son, exercised at 5:30 in the morning every morning. But I had someone who came to my house as a friend of mine, and she and I have exercised for the last 30 years. Now, she's a very structured person who's always on time. She comes whether she's sick or whatever, and she's at my doorstep, and I have to get out of bed. So if there's anyone there with no thinking, oh my goodness, I can't get up, when you've got someone actually waiting at your gate to be let in, that is the best motivation in the world. And I said to her yesterday, I'm so lucky to have you, otherwise I wouldn't be doing this, So it is a habit that was formed, and it's sitting there and it's been going for that length of time, because I know that you're talking about your habits of getting up early in the morning and doing things before your children wake up, which is great too, because it gives you a great headset. So yes, it really is important to have that, sometimes extrinsic, because intrinsically I really want to exercise, but extrinsically not necessarily at that time in the morning. So having that person there is really important. So I do get that concept.
That accountability. And yes, somebody asked me, so I have worked out consistently for, I think we're going on 6 years. Before that, it was not consistent. And, I spent a lot of my life not feeling very strong. And so when I started working out in a kind of group personal training class. So the coach was waiting for me and the other people at we did things as a team. So these people were waiting for me, right? Just like you, they were waiting. And so I counted on that. That is still the type of workout that I do. I have not changed it, because that accountability is a benefit to me. Even though if I have to miss a class, I make it up. I do it on my own, but I feel more motivated, more accountable to the group and to the team. So I have continued that. And that is how, really I built the habit that now I have regardless, but the habit or the build of that really did have to do with outside, because I just didn't have it internally enough to, to be able to keep consistent. I just didn't have it.
And I think that most people are actually like that. I don't think many of us find sticking to exercise that easy. It's really a hard thing to motivate yourself to do, and it's one of the most important things to do. So yes, and I think if you're listening, if you identify something like that and have someone there, to be there as a backup, even if and don't get someone like myself, because I'll get a bit sick and I won't turn up, or, a bit tired today. So, it's really important to actually choose your person, because having a person like you or, somebody that is going to turn up no matter whether it's raining, whatever, it is actually really important to choose your person. You have to know your people, in a sense. So yes,
I love that you said that, because yes, you want the person that is going to encourage you and keep you accountable, not the person that is going to enable you to quit, right? Like,
right.
Don't pick your enabler to be your accountability partner.
Because my daughter and I, we're enablers. So we'll say, do you want to go for a walk? And then she'll wake up and go, I'm a bit tired today. And I go, oh, all right, let's not do it. So,
we deserve to rest.
That's right. Let's go and have a coffee instead. So know your enabler and know what to do. So that is very important. So what are the motivation styles that you came up with?
Yeah. So we kind of found that there were 5. And so I'll tell you what they are, and then I'll tell you what really motivates them. So there's the achiever, the team member, the leader, the learner, and the winner. So in being able to stay motivated, the achiever really likes to hit a goal. So the achiever likes to achieve, right? They like to have mastery over things. They have a little bit of a fear of failure. So they really want to achieve the goal. They really like to hit the goal and then move on to the next goal. And that motivates them. So as we think about these, and maybe you hear one that fits in for you, so the goal here is to think about, okay, which one of these fits me most? And how can I use that for the things that maybe I'm not doing, but I want to be doing? Or I'm not enjoying, but I want to be enjoying? And how can I use what I really love to push me to be more motivated, whether it's a work project, a team activity, a workout, something you want to do with your family, whatever it is. So the next one is the team member. The team member likes camaraderie, likes to be part of the team. They like to build relationships. That cheerleader, they like to cheer the other people on, and they just love to be part of the team. So it's really motivating for them to be on a team versus working independently. The next one's the leader. So the leader likes to be in charge. The leader likes to have power, not in an ugly way, but likes to be the one that has the power for decisions, right? They like to help the team get to the goal. They like to be the champion. They like to be the go-to. And so in that kind of feeling, thinking about, okay, how can I lead all of a initiative, or maybe just part of something, right? How can I exert some leadership over a certain piece of what I'm working on and feel really motivated by it because I own that big part? So the next one's the learner. The learner likes to improve. The learner likes to improve processes. So the achiever likes to get to the end of the goal. They're really trying to hit it, but the learner sort of likes the journey. They like to see, oh, could we do this better? How could we really understand the process? How could we maybe change something and see what happens, right? They really like to just get that full understanding of things. And then finally, the winner. The winner is different from the achiever in that the winner likes many of those sort of tangible extrinsic rewards, prizes, money, kudos, right? Even verbal kudos, those sorts of things. The winner really likes that. Now, the winner likes to feel really like successful. And so that is why they like those outside things. So the extrinsic rewards, but the winner, a lot of that is what drives them forward, drives them to be motivated to participate, to act, to be part of things. So those are the 5. And by using that and thinking, what is something I'm not motivated to do any of these things fit in? Is it because I am a team member and they've asked me to work on this project all by myself? Or is it because I really love to lead things and there's like 20 other people that also like to lead on my team, and so there's nothing left for me and I feel like I'm just following instructions, right? You can sort of start to get into yourself a little bit and understand, oh, no wonder I'm not motivated in this environment. It isn't meeting that need that really lights a fire for me.
They're great explanations. So what are you?
An achiever. I really like to hit a goal. I love the journey of the goal, but I really like to hit the goal. And sometimes you'll know you're an achiever if you like to hit the goal and then you want to know what the next goal is, right? You're not celebrating like the winner might be going, okay, we made money. We got an award. We're going to like kind of live in this and feel really good about it. Oh no, the achiever's like, what's next? What do I do now? And so that's how I am. Kate, do you feel any of these?
Oh, yes, I do. So I'm team member. So I'm just in there for the relationships.
Yes.
I'm just in there to see whether we have a bit of fun. And if we're not having fun or I'm not with people, I'm none of the other. My husband happens to be the leader. So, I've got him rolling on and making all the changes. I don't really need to be. 2 people of that in a household really isn't that much. Is too much. So
yes.
You don't want 2 leaders there always wanting to be right and making all the changes. Yeah, so that's I find that really interesting. And I also look at my kids as well as adults, and we can sort of see this kind of stuff in them even when they're younger, can't we? Because you can see who's going to be the team member and the winner that gets all those rewards
It's
and
true.
the kudos, you know.
I think oftentimes we think kids are all winners, right? We think kids are just, oh, well, they just want the reward but I don't think so, especially as they grow, but even the smaller ones, you can start to see, oh, they really like to work on a team. That's what is driving them, that those relationships they're building, or, ooh, they really do like to come up with a strategy and kind of pick things apart, right? You can start to see that even from, even my second grader, I can see that he really likes to dig into the process. So, moving on, I'm willing to bet he'll always be the learner because he just likes to figure things out. That's what motivates him and drives him forward.
And I think that teaching our children these things at the right time when they're old enough is really, really important too, because my kids learned about personality very early, and they use personality understanding in their jobs, in their university. They've both been to university, understanding group work. There's always going to be someone who's going to be the person that takes the charge and does all of. So we sit and talk about people in different groups and styles of behaviours and stuff, and even when they were teens, because I think it's really good sometimes we forget that our children are little vessels that absorb so much knowledge, and we forget to teach them about people, because, people are everywhere. And very rarely as a community do we talk about people at school, do we talk about how to deal with people. So when they understand what motivates them, and you could say to them, hey, listen, I really noticed that this really motivates you, this is where you can dig in and work out what feels good for you moving forward. What a fantastic tool to have. Instead of sitting in there, just sitting in the middle of life, even now you've given direction to motivation, just putting those things up for people listening to go, wow, actually, I looked at it and I thought, I am a team member. Now, what is it I love doing? Well, I love doing podcasts. I love helping people, being in a group situation. So they're the things that you look for moving forward to motivate yourself. So I think this is a really great way of knowing yourself, but also understand those kids that you've got. And like you say, you have 4. So, there's going to be such a diversity probably sitting in there, because no kid's the same. We know that. So
yeah, it's wild how different they are when you think, wow, they were brought up the same, but they are wildly different, wildly different.
It is. And so, the fact of recognizing that too, as a parent, that you have to deal with them all really differently and give them different praises, different things on so many levels. We've got love languages, all that stuff sitting in there. It's just really important to learn this stuff. So I think it's a great bit of knowledge to have for people listening. So are you a just do it motivator? So just get it done.
For my own self?
For yourself? Yeah.
Yes and no. So sometimes if it's something that I think is terrible, so if I have to do a task, but if I can't really get out of it, I can't get help for it, I can't delegate it away, if I just have to do it, then yes, it's just a buckle down and get it done sort of thing. Otherwise, I try to rely on habits and systems as much as possible for those things that maybe are not my favorite. Otherwise, I really do try to dig in and say, okay, how can I make this a goal? How can I make a target for this? How can, I use my sort of achiever tendencies to say, how can I motivate myself to this? To, maybe it's just a goal post to a larger goal, but that still helps me. Setting that goal post allows me to go, okay, I'm going to hit this. And that feels really good.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's really interesting hearing such different thoughts. And there's got to be so many people out there relating to what you're saying and possibly to what I'm saying in that sense too. So the last chapter, just briefly, where you talked about being a marketer. And I love that because we sell all the time to our kids, we sell to everyone, but we're constantly selling. Tell me, can you give me an example of like the marketing as a supermom that we do?
Yes. The last secret is, yes, moms can sell anything, right? Is because we do have to communicate with our kids in a way that allows them to motivate themselves, right? Or that allows them to feel motivated to do the things that we're asking, or everything is going to be a fight. everything is going to be a fight. So when we know what our children love, when we know what motivates them, when we know what will make them excited, when we know those things about them, we can use that to help them be more excited, be more willing, be more ready to do the things that we want to do. And so I think that just using words differently, and of course, being patient and calm and taking care of yourself well enough to allow that is what we do. So, coming up with ideas like going on an adventure versus we're going to do some house cleaning, but it actually is going to be with hats and we're going to turn the music up really loud. We're going to have like a cleaning party, right? It's the same thing. We still have to clean the house. We're still going to have to, go to the doctor or whatever it is, but just being able to turn some of the words around and make it in a way that would motivate them to want to. And so that it's not just all a fight. And I think that has really been useful for me. I feel like since toddler age up, right? Being able to know how to communicate to the kiddos in a way that is going to help them be willing and want to do the things that we're doing. And not always, but I think that certainly has helped.
And bringing an element of fun into things that might be tasks.
Yes.
And yeah. The other thing is also, as you had mentioned too, getting curious and listening, really listening to them and understanding who they are and where they're coming from.
Yeah. When you talk about like understanding people, right? That's a component of that, understanding what your children are going to want, what would be exciting to them, what would make them go, oh, I totally want to do that, right? What would that feeling be? And I love that you talk to parents about teaching their kids to understand people, because you're right. The success in our life, the most successful people understand people. They just have those qualities to be able to communicate well, to be able to understand that other person's needs, to see things from their angle. And so many of us don't have those skills because we never learned them. And so I love that you talk about that and helping children do that from a young age too.
Yeah, because people it's nothing we do at school, is it? And people I only found out about it because we had a business and I thought I'd go and do this course because we had a business and to utilize it with the people in work. And I go and I do the MBTI and I think, I can use this everywhere. I can use this in my house, I can use it with my household. And my husband and I used temperaments from very early in our marriage, and we just celebrated 37 years yesterday. So woohoo.
Woohoo.
Now remember, not easy. Got to keep working at it all the time, as you're well aware, there's all these practices you have to put into place. But I just think that it's so important. And the marketing bit, I market my way out of mistakes a lot of the time. So
there you go.
So I don't market my way. So, we went to the zoo one day for someone's birthday party and we're walking around. My husband says, oh, for goodness sake, go and check where we're supposed to meet them. Because I've gone, oh, no, it's the zoo. We'll just go. So we go and the people said, oh, that party's not on today. It's on tomorrow. So I go back to my kids and I say, guess what? And they said, what? I said, we get to go to the zoo 2 days in a row. My husband's rolling his eyes and going, oh my goodness. But you know what? They were really excited because they got to go to the zoo twice. My husband was not excited. But, these are the things that you've got to do.
It's so true.
It's been really wonderful talking to you. I've really enjoyed it, and I'm sure that everybody's going to get so much out of listening and hearing what you have to say. Thank you. You're actually a super guest, a super mum and a super guest and a human dynamo. And look, can you just tell people where they can find you? That would be fabulous, and about the resources you have available.
I would love to. Yes. So if you go to secretsofsupermom.com, that is where you can find the book and the podcast and all of the free resources. You can take the quiz to find out your Supermom superpower. And that's just the best place to find everything Supermom.
Thanks again, Lori. It's been fabulous talking to you.
So fun.
What's your style of motivation? Are you the achiever, excited just to reach the goal? Doesn't have to be the best, but just wants to master a project and move on to the next goal. The team member, motivated by relationships and affiliation. The leader, motivated by being in charge. The learner, motivated by curiosity and improvement. Or the winner, motivated by rewards. External motivation. It's important to know what motivates you so that you can use it to find what makes you feel happy and fulfilled. I'm Kate Mason. Thank you for listening to Parenting and Personalities. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd love it if you could leave a rating and a review that would help others learn about this podcast. If you're interested in discovering more about you and your family's personality types, you'll find my book, Who Is This Monster or Treasure in My House, on Booktopia or Amazon. If you have an episode idea, please send a note to thepersonalitycoach@gmail.com. Many thanks to our producers at Stories and Strategies, and we'll see you next time.
Hi, Jeremy Cordeaux in the Court of Public Opinion. I'm just on air here to let you know that we'll be live streaming the Court of Public Opinion every Friday between 9 o'clock and 12 on jeremycordeaux.com. Please join us. We'd love to have you.